Hello, everyone, and welcome to Being Naked. My name is Venus Castleberg, your host. This is where we discover the gift of vulnerability and the magic of being you. I am so excited to introduce our guest today, Brendan Fitzgerald. He's been on Comedy Central, written for Comedy Central, and is the host of Spiritual Asshole podcast, which I was recently a guest on and had so much fun. And I'm just so inspired by you, Brendan, and the who you are in the world, and like the laughter, the joy, just the enjoyment of life that you bring. And so thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've never been naked with clothes on before, so this is a first for me. Thank you. It's a new experience. It feels very freeing. It feels comforting. It's wonderful.
You're welcome. That's great. So I would love to dive in a little bit into your past, because I heard that when you were a kid, you actually had some religious upbringing.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
and yeah. I'm not to, this isn't a therapy session.
No, it's going to be.
No. But I would love for you to just share kind of like your background a little bit.
No, this is actually, I had that reaction because this is actually like really interesting. You're saying this to me now, and I'll get to why that is. I grew up very Catholic. My mom used to take me to church every morning, and she used to bribe me by buying me donuts, which explains why I'm still obsessed with donuts. Because I think it's like my way of being rewarded to sitting through dark pain. And it's also where I go when like I'm really sad. I'm like, oh, this makes tons of sense now. And then I remained Catholic till I was probably about 20. And then I went on like this massive spiritual, I would almost call it a quest, from ages 20 to probably 27, where I was like trying churches. I went to Quaker meetings. I went to like crazy like evangelical stuff where people pray over you. I joined this Christian church in Brooklyn that was there for a while. And then ultimately it led me to The Secret, which sort of started this like new thought, self-help wellness journey. And that was about 2010. So I've sort of been going down that road since then. And then most of the work I've been doing is trying to erase my childhood and everything I learned from Catholicism. And the reason why I said that this is interesting, and speaking of being vulnerable, I have a friend who I worked with at this job for 2 years when I was in New York, and he just wrote this article, and I think it's okay if I talk about it, where he came out and just said he was raped by a priest. And I was just like the last 2 days have just like brought me back to the Catholic times. And I'm like, oh, there's still like a little, like, it's made me feel a little uneasy, because I'm like, oh, there's still a lot of darkness there. And like, I've now just had to revisit it again. And I'm like, oh man, I want to just get past this. But like, it's good, man, because I feel like I'm in such a different place. And if a lot of my family still goes, and if I ever have to go out of sheer like being forced to, which I try not to go, I just sit there and make fun of it the whole time. So it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, I had it too. I had Catholicism, Christianity. I didn't have it really deep, but like, I went to Bible camp for kids, and, it was like, you're going to go to hell, and all that stuff. So, and I remember getting saved when I was 6, and then I went back to camp when I was 11, and they were saying, you're going to go to hell if you aren't saved. And I thought, well, maybe I didn't do it right, so I should get saved again. So, so I was saved twice, whatever that means. I don't know. Yeah. But a lot of us have had that. And yes. I would love to know more about, like, how did you start to change things for yourself? What can we encourage people? Like, you can break free from your past.
Yes.
By making different choices. What sort of choices did you make?
I would say start with the premise that everything you learned is wrong. Like, literally, when you go to Catholic church, one of the first things you do is you stand up, you beat your chest, and you say, my fault, my fault, my fault. So that objectively is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like so objectively insane to even think about right now. But it's not about beating up on Catholicism. What I would say is that just know that, number one, to go back to our episode, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, if you have these thoughts of like bad Christian up, like guilt, feeling terrible, it's not because something's wrong with you. It's only because the programming you received sucked. And you took it in, and you took it in at a time when you had no choice but to take it in. That's where I get so sad, because I'm like, literally you're downloading insanity on a completely blank slate, innocent human being. So that's where I get upset, because I'm like, this sucks. They didn't have a choice. So just start there. Like, know that programming is wrong. Anything that tells you that you're not love and infinite, anything is possible, you're amazing, is wrong. Flat out wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Start there, and then start to seek out inspirational messages in people that will empower you to not think that anyway, and know that it's going to be a process and it's okay, and like, it's going to be a minute. I mean, it took you a while. I'm at year 12, baby. And I feel like I
got you beat 22 years.
Yeah. And the good news is the quicker you catch it, like, the younger you are. And like, I see all these Gen Z people being like, I'm amazing. I'm like, damn it, man. I'm like, you guys will just be good forever. I'm like, that's so cool. But like, don't worry. Like, it doesn't have to be 22 years. You could get it, or 12 years. You can get it right away. But just know that, like, it's okay if it's a process,
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you said something. You said you found the secret. So tell me how that changed you.
Well, just the idea of the power of your thoughts. I never realized that was even a thing. Like, I didn't even know that, your thinking matters. I thought we were all walking around operating under the cloud of a god or something outside of us that will be like, and now you will be rewarded. Or like, now you did good things, so you will get these things. It's like the most hilarious and American way of looking at something, where it's like, yes, if I do everything exactly right, then I will be given something. And it's like, that is totally not true. And so I started, and when I read The Secret, I saw it instantly. I was like, oh my God, like, things that I were like thinking and believing were happening instantaneously. Then what happened was I started falling back into my old Catholic programming that told me I sucked. I was like, no, dude, no. Trust me, you suck. So all of my work has been undoing that thinking. And it's not just from Catholicism. I don't want to just blame them. Like, it could be from parents. It could be from family, friends. Like, you could get bullied. I have someone who told me yesterday they got trauma because they had a crush on a guy, and he pulled her aside and was like, hey, I have a crush on your friend. And she's like, for the rest of my life, trauma about like liking guys. So it's not just Catholicism. Like, it can come. We all have it,
Yeah. So what are some of the tricks that you use to kind of get you in a different mind frame? Like, let's say you wake up on a bad day. Like, it's not a great day. What do you do?
So many. I was actually thinking about, like, so when you watch a pro football game, the coaches have like a play sheet on this laminated piece of paper. I'm like, I want to walk around with a tool play sheet. And I'm like, all right, you're feeling this way, call this play where you now say this affirmation. like I want to do that, like, really, because I feel like so I meditate. Everybody has said, I've now talked to 103 people on my podcast, 103 incredible self-help experts. Almost every single person says meditate. And that is really the easiest place, in my opinion, to start. And you don't have to make it long. You don't have to make it a big thing. And most importantly, you don't have to make yourself right or wrong when you do it. That's the most important meditation tip. Like, everyone I know who's trying is like, I suck at it. I'm like, all right, well, that's not the point. Again, that's our like American minds of like awarding good or bad. And like, no, that's not the point of meditating. It's okay. If you want to quit after 20 seconds, quit. Or I would recommend set a very low bar for yourself. Don't say I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes. Say I'm going to meditate for 3 minutes. And then tomorrow, meditate for 4 minutes. Like, build off of smaller goals. That's like one of the best things. I've talked to a lot of habit people, and it's one of the best. And that works out for working out. It works out for anything. Then affirmations when done in a good headspace, are incredibly effective. And there's a very key distinction here. When you're feeling terrible about yourself, it's very hard to do affirmations. And don't worry, I wouldn't try to do that. Subliminal meditations on YouTube. I really experienced an incredible shift in my life about 4 months ago when I was like, I'm going to brainwash myself with subliminals. Any second that I had in a free minute, I had a weird voice. I'm like, my neighbors are going to think I'm insane, of like some man with an Indian accent being like, you are perfect. You are amazing. I am good. And I'm like, I am good. Subliminals, you cannot go wrong. I think energy work, like I have not done the bars. I really want to. That's really changed my life, because what energy work will do is it will pull those old beliefs that are on a reciprocal pattern and cycle going on deep in your subconscious mind, and it will rip them out, which I think is incredibly important because it stops the crazy cycles, you know? So like energy work, like bars, EMDR, just energy meditation. I've done so much Reiki. I think, you know, you've done it all. You're the expert. You've done everything.
Cool.
Yeah.
So basically a pattern interrupt, like just there's different things that you can do just to change things. I love that.
And just do something. Like, honestly, I used to lay in my bed face down depressed for like 40 minutes at a time. And honestly, the answer in that moment is just stand up. And just be proud of yourself that you stand up. Just make your bed. Yeah, pattern interruption, and know that the spiraling you're experiencing in your thoughts is not the truth, and you have to interrupt it because it's just old programming on a continuous loop, you know? So yeah.
Cool. And then just in case anybody's listening has never heard of the bars, it's Access Consciousness, the bars, and you can find out more about it.
I know. I really want to try it. And I'm going to, ever since we talked, because you're like the third person to tell me about it. So I'm excited to try it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I can help find somebody in your area. So.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, no, I would, I'm definitely going to do it.
Cool. Awesome. And then, so would you consider yourself spiritual?
You know, that's a great question. Let me give you the pretentious answer.
Sure, why not?
My pretentious answer is I want to go as far away from labels as possible, but I am deeply believe in spirit. It's like the only thing I believe in. Call it source, God. Everyone calls it things differently. Universe. That's all that I think there is. Awareness, consciousness. So yes, I would say yes, but the whole thing where people are like, I'm spiritual, not religious. I've tried to even get away from that because who cares? Right. Because that dude's at a bar trying to hook up with a girl, and he probably has a guitar at his house and he wants to play it for you. So like, don't stay away from that guy. But no, yeah, I mean, of course, I would say yes, definitely. But I also think it's extremely important to make fun of spirituality because it's also hilarious. Right. Like, I'll have conversations with my friends and I'll be like, we got to stop. This is insane.
Oh, I love that. And so I really want to know, like, what led you to, or what happened in your life that led you to create Spiritual Asshole, the podcast?
Well, it's kind of combined my two favorite things. Like, I've been on this comedy track since 2007. So I was most comedy track. And then low key, I was in the closet spiritually because all of my comedy friends, like, we're not talking about that. Like, no, like, I'm the kind of person, like, literally, I would be the kind of person that they would then go on stage and make fun of if I told them what I was really doing. Like, you believe in the power. Oh, how's your vision board, man? Just like making fun of me. Nice crystals. So I would just keep all that really hidden and low key because I didn't want to get ridiculed. But then it just started growing, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm constantly emailing people who I love, self-help stuff, spiritual quotes. It's like what I'm talking about most of the time. I would go out to bars and like hold court in the corner of a bar and be like, let me tell you about your soul. So I was like, I think I just need a podcast to stop doing this to people. So I decided to combine both the things. And for me, it was a big coming out. And because to go back to my religious upbringing, my mom is extremely Christian and thinks like all this stuff is the devil. Actually, that's like literally what she believes. Mm-hmm. So like, it's not an exaggeration. So I was like, okay, I know she's going to hate this. I know that it's going to be controversial because they don't even know this side of me, but I'm like, I have to do it. And I have to say, like, yes, there were some bumps in the road, but I feel so free, man. I'm like, whoa, right. I'm actually me almost completely now for the first time in my life. And it's an incredible feeling. So I just like encourage anybody, and this goes back to your podcast, that you would be surprised at the reaction you get when you put it all on the table and you're like, well, this is who I am. And the ball is now in their corner to judge you. And if they do that, sucks for them. Like, that's on you, dude. Like, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I adore you. I mean, I love your humor, and I love who you're being in the world. Like, you're just like, hey, this is it. And it is such an invitation to everybody out there. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, because I'm like, guys, you can be you and change the world. Like, you can, like, and it's whatever your thing is. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be like Brendan. You don't have to be like me. We don't need clones.
No. You're not us. Yeah.
Right. But and so I just want to acknowledge you for that. Like,
oh,
really,
no, thank you. No, it was so great talking to you. I think also I want to point out to people that, and this is what a major part of the podcast, your flaws are funny. Like, it's funny. When people die at funerals, what do they talk about? Like the dumb shit that people did. Because it's funny. Like, in the end, everything is funny, and that should be embraced. Like, don't run away from the flaws or the mistakes. All comedy is pointing it out and laughing at it and being like, aren't we stupid humans? This is hilarious. And we should embrace that. Don't be ashamed of that. And I think that is what I hope people also get from my podcast. Like, I will have a really serious conversation for someone for 5 minutes, and I will purposely say something incredibly stupid as a reminder to us all that, like, it's all doesn't matter. It's all funny. It's all stupid. Yeah. It's like, in the end, it's all funny. Like, it's all good. I mean, I think about my mom's dad, who was this incredibly stern Catholic man who would just be like, ooh. He was funny, but we were all very scared of him. He low-key secretly smoked cigarettes, and we all knew it. Everybody in my mom's family knew it. Everybody had to go around being like, I don't know, he doesn't smoke, like this like whole Catholic like repression thing. Now when we talk about him, we're like, oh man, remember when we caught him smoking? And we think it's the funniest thing in the world. Like, I'm like, yeah, I caught him like 4 times and it was really funny. And I had to pretend like I didn't see him throw his cigarette. But again, that's his flaws, and that's funny. It's fine. It's human. You are a human. And the more you embrace that part of you and accept it and laugh at it, the better you're going to be. Like, I know that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And like you, I've said this too. There's just when you're doing that and being that, it's so freeing.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh, thank God I can breathe. I don't have the corset on anymore.
I mean, for God's sakes, you're talking about sex in Utah. What could be more freeing than that? You are a pioneer, man.
I'm leading the way.
Yeah, you're leading the way.
Great. Well, I've been listening to your podcast. I love it. And
awesome.
You have had some amazing people on there, and I'm wondering, like, what's been some of your biggest takeaways in the last couple of years?
Number one, nothing's wrong with you. So, like, thank you for that, continuing that message. People can't hear that enough. Also covered in our episode, like, you are actually the one you're looking for. Almost, I'm really encouraged, and I think you feel the same way, by how that conversation is now almost at the forefront of every relationship expert. Like, listen, yeah, find love, but know that, like, it ain't going to be the end. Like, it's like, that's not actually what you're looking for. In fact, my guest this week, Kim Velez, who I love so much, goes so far in our episode as to say, it actually is irrelevant who you are at, who you like or love, because their entire job is to mirror your inner world back to you. And I was like, oh, and she's like, I just picked this guy next door because he's close. So I'm like, the mirror's right there, dude. I don't have to go far for this mirror. Right. But I would say that everything is a mirror is like, ooh, that is so freeing, because now you don't have to be reactive. You can now go inward without hopefully blaming yourself. The missing piece for me was, like, I would blame myself. I see the mirror. I see the awareness. I see the person like reflect something back to me that's triggering, but then I would beat myself up over it. Now I'm like, oh, this person's showing you that you're not free here yet. Right. That's wow. That is so freeing, man. It's like, dude, let everybody else off the hook. Like, call off the anger, call off the gossip. Like, just, it's all about you. Like, the truth is, it really is. And what's so funny is that, like, you could say this, like, you're the God of your reality, and people get so uncomfortable and offended. It's like, okay, let me ask you a series of questions. Who is deciding what you actually like? Who is deciding everything that you process everything through? You. Nobody else is making those calls.
Right.
In a way, like, you are the one. You're the only one deciding everything.
Right.
At all times. You have that power. So it makes tons of sense to me.
Yeah.
So that was I would say those are the biggest ones. And then recently I've been really getting into the people who talk about the power of assumption, which Neville Goddard, which I like, love this idea, which is to assume that you are the wish fulfilled already. Act as if you are a millionaire, act as if you already have the love in your life. Like, those things. I love it. Yeah.
Cool. And that's actually more kind of along the lines of The Secret. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's like a little bit farther, because I was using the law of attraction as almost a god, where I was like, if I think the right thoughts and the right vibration, then the universe will bring me everything. And I'm like, no, what if you just become it and know that you're already it, versus being like, please award me my things.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's a great distinction. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what really was missing for me, because I would do that and then look around and be like, it's not here. Then I would be like, oh, I know what to do. Blame yourself.
Make yourself wrong. That sounds
Blame
like a
myself
great idea.
extremely wrong. So, like, I went from it's again, to go back to what we're talking, like, your first question. It's funny. I went from a Catholic Christian upbringing where it says, like, a God will bring you something, or if you're good enough, you'll be rewarded, to then just doing it with law of attraction. And I'm like, all right, no more of this. No more of this outside force is going to reward me if I behave correctly. Like, I'm done with that,
Awesome. That's really great. Because it's funny. I actually am writing another book, and it's I'm not telling you the title, but it's about you being the source of your life. So,
yeah. No, I mean, and the quicker people get this, the more free you're going to be. It's scary, but I'm telling you, like, it's so freeing. Like, forget what anybody else is doing. Like, how good does that feel? My God, it's incredible.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you believe there's a gift in being yourself?
Yes. Is this a loaded question?
Well, the next question is, what do you believe that gift is, or what are the greatest aspects that you see about yourself?
I think the only purpose to be on earth is to be the fullest version of you, period, full stop. And that everybody is uniquely given gifts, talents, and unique perspectives to further the progress of the entire universe, to put it lightly. So just a little lightly. So when you are it, you're benefiting all of us. So don't look at it as selfish. It's actually the opposite. Like, nobody wins if I never did my podcast because I was scared of what my mom or other people think. Who, like, they might be upset, but then that's an opportunity for those people around you to look at their own stuff and be like, why am I being triggered by this?
Right.
So when you get to be the fullest version of you, or you get to be like the gifts that you are, I was just thinking about, like, how incredible the breadth of humanity is. Like, we're here doing this podcast right now. Somebody's in Antarctica, like, punching a polar bear. Like, that's an insane, like, and they're like, my job is to hug polar bears. You're like, wow, incredible job. It's amazing. Like, and then, like, someone's a DJ right now, like, in Bali. You're like, dude, cool, really cool. But it's like, the more that you, like, think about the breadth of all of that. You can be any of these things. Like, that's so exciting. The more that you are those things, the more we all benefit. Like, your gifts are so important. We need you, man. Like, we need the full version of you, the real version of you. Like, fear will get us all and it will hold us back at times. But the more that, and I'm not fully there at all, but, like, the more that we get to that full version, the more we all win, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think that leads into my next question. If you could have people get anything out of your podcast, what would it be?
I hope that they leave laughing a lot and just feeling better about themselves, and knowing that there's nothing wrong with you, and that like we're all on this hilarious wild journey together. Like that's what I hope people take away. and like just feeling a little bit better, a little bit more empowered. Like I'm not out here to tell people how to live. I hope that I'm only giving them tools to look and empower themselves more. Like I'm not about here being like, put Brendan on a stage and show how good he is. Like I like being on stages, but like like the idea of like a Tony Robbins thing to me that's not my jam. Like I don't, no offense to him, but like I don't have a guru mindset. Like I want to do comedy. My goal is to do stage shows with Spiritual Lasso and like have comedians, actors, and musicians and spiritual people on panels together. Like I think that'd be so fun. But yeah, my goal is that I want everyone to leave laughing more and just feeling better about themselves and knowing that whatever crazy stuff is swirling around in your brain, we're all thinking similar thoughts. and it's very okay. Like you're 1000% not the first person to think or do whatever thing you think was bad or crazy.
Great point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really, you being you, it's just such a gift. I want you to really get that. And
thank you so much.
And if you guys have not heard of Brendan Fitzgibbon's spiritualasshole.com, the podcast is incredible. You will laugh your ass off and be inspired to grow, to change, to be you. And so thank you, Brendan. Thank you for being here. And thank you everybody for watching. We're so grateful.
Thanks for the sick publicity. This was great.
You're welcome. Anytime.
All right. Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.